Here we go, F1 Shakedown, the podcast. Welcome to it. Wayne Williams and Barton Murphy, episode number 2, post the U.S. Grand Prix. Welcome to it. Lots to talk about. Man, that was an exciting race, if I do say so myself. Sorry, was a little upset though. 1 and 2, and then get no camera time at all because all the shenanigans were going on midfield and, third, fourth, and back. Penalties, FIA, Stewart, what are the calls? What are the standards? Why some folks get penalized and others don't? A little bit of issues there. A lot going on. We've got F1 news, recap of the race, and we'll chat. Bart, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Yeah, it was a great race. We had no idea what was going on at the front, but it didn't matter because it was all about the race for third and fourth, and sometimes 10th. It was Colapinto ended up in 10th place, but that was exciting too. That mid pack battle.
Yeah.
So yeah, lots of excitement. It was a great race, start to finish.
Give Colapinto a ride, man. That kid deserves a ride.
Yeah, unbelievable. He scored more points than Logan Sargent did in his entire time in the last 2 or 3 races. So yeah, somebody's got to give him a ride.
Don't get me started on Sargent. You know how I felt back in the day about him. I feel sick. I can't make it to the end of the race. Come on, brother. Anyways, right? Yeah. So to your point about the Ferraris, just kind of like at the end of the race, we're all like surprised. Oh, Ferraris won it too.
Yeah.
Isn't that shocking? We
Yeah.
had no idea what was going on.
Did you love the trophies that they gave them at the end of the race? The mini tires.
Mini tires. Yeah. That was cute.
Well,
That was cute.
I think it was a last minute thing. I think there was something wrong with the trophies. I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
Who knows? We'll find out. We'll find out. So off air, you were talking about the fact too that the constructors' championship is now kind of it's getting close, right?
Yeah. It's anybody's game. I mean, you've got the 3 teams at the top. Ferrari thinks that they've got a legitimate shot, and they probably do after this past weekend. They're fairly close. So it's tight for the between McLaren, Ferrari, and Red Bull. It's going to go right down to the wire.
So top 5, Aston Martin with 86 points, Mercedes at 344, Ferrari in third at 496, Red Bull 504, right? So 496 at 504, right?
Yeah.
And then McLaren up top with 544 points, and they could have added a little more to that, but that's their own issues. But yeah, the top 5, it can be championship run. I mean, you still at this point, I the top. So Alonso at 62, Perez at 150, Russell 160. Piastri 47, Leclerc at 275, Norris 297, and of course number 1 Verstappen at 354 points. So I think if I were a bet man, I still would say that Verstappen's going to take it, especially after the performance. But the Ferraris were just a little quicker.
Yeah, no, it's
Okay.
yeah, it's quite a battle. There was an interesting. Sorry, I didn't actually hear what you said, but I just wanted.
Oh, yeah. We lost your audio there for a little bit too off the top. I just recapped all of the standings for the drivers and constructors. The last was the constructor with Verstappen leading, of course, the top 3. Let's do the top 5 then. Sainz at 215, Piastri 247, Leclerc 275, Norris at 297, and Verstappen at 354. So
Yeah.
Norris to Verstappen 297 to 354. I said if I was a betting man, I still would say Verstappen's going to take it, especially after his performance at the U.S. Grand Prix, especially qualifying. So the car definitely is getting back on track, if you will.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
but
Although Perez was nowhere to be found. I mean, he was having a hard time getting by the Williams.
let's not even talk
So
about cars. I'm surprised. Like we talked about last week, I'm really shocked that he still has a ride.
yeah,
Uh,
I know, and you wonder if
Pinto,
yeah,
right?
if Colapinto was in there, they'd be leading the championship for sure.
Right? Be 1 and 2, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
How can you have two cars, right, that are fairly evenly matched? I mean, she has different setups from race to race, depending on the driver from time to time, but that gap is so wide
It's
consistently between Perez and Verstappen.
yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. You know, I don't know. There must be something going on with Perez because he wasn't this bad last year. I mean, he had a couple of wins. He was always fighting. He was always up there.
Mm-hmm.
You there was a lot of 1-2s for Verstappen and Perez. I don't know what's happened to him this year, but we can see what happens to somebody's confidence when they're unsure of whether they have a race seat. We
Yeah.
saw that with Danny Rick, and an interesting thing that Liam Lawson said in the interview on F1 this weekend. He said something really strange, Wayne. He said, "I knew I'd have a seat somewhere this year. I just didn't know where or when." Now, it's a strange comment only because you've got four seats, basically. You've got four Red Bull seats. You've got Verstappen is not going anywhere, obviously.
No.
You know. And then you've got Yuki Tsunoda, who's consistently good. He's not going anywhere.
No.
Sergio Perez isn't going anywhere because we know of his sort of advertising and his sponsorship money. So you knew that you had a seat this year? That only leaves one. So was Danny Rick told at some point that he was going to lose his seat this year? Like I don't understand. I
Yeah.
and the way the whole thing was handled,
Yeah.
and the team principal of RB has come, he came forward and apologized, but still, the way that he handled that whole departure was pretty
Yeah.
ugly. So interesting. What do you make of that comment?
I think that he slipped. I think that he slipped on the media and needs to think about it and how they're going to clean it up. And whether it gains any traction or not, I don't know. But I think that there was a little bit of shenanigans going on the back end there for sure.
I think so. I think so. And the thing was, and it must be nerve wracking for somebody who's, the job is on the line and your potential replacement is at the track every weekend, standing in the, in the
Yeah.
garage.
Right. Exactly.
Like,
A little intimidating, right? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. You can't really perform at your best when that's happening on the back end, right? No.
no,
No, fair point.
yeah. So,
Fair point.
yeah.
So, what a race. So, first of all, let's get that elephant in the room out of there. The poll, I just checking Racing Recap, which is a really cool site. And they've got a poll up there talking about, do you think that Verstappen deserves a 5-second penalty for forcing Norris off the track on Sunday? I mean, those two, right? Talk about that quintessential example of friends in real life, arch enemies on the track, right? Because it's ruthless between each other. Like there's no hold barred, right? There's no holds barred at all. Like it's just those two on the track, which is great, right? But
Yeah.
Verstappen, man. So I'm going to ask you. I have my answer, but do you think Verstappen should deserve the penalty? And then I don't know if you heard Toto's response when he was interviewed about that, but we'll get into that. So what do you think?
Yeah, this whole track limits thing is a new thing. It's kind of like, oh, it's such a great race. And you got, the commentators are coming on every 5 seconds talking about penalty this, penalty that. It kind of takes away from the racing. I think they've really got to do something about it. You got to put, like Danica Patrick said, just put gravel back in.
Put gravel out there, and it's done. You
Don't
won't do
have
that.
a runoff. And
Yep.
and gravel is fairly safe. It slows you down and it'll prevent drivers from going out there. It's a simple solution. They have to do something. We can't keep talking about this this has been going on for almost a year now, and it's totally ridiculous. The one thing I do have to say though, Wayne, which is interesting, Charles Leclerc took over the race because he knew what Verstappen's move was into that first turn off the start. So Verstappen's aggressiveness came back to bite him in the ass, I think, this time, because Leclerc knew that he was going to go deep into the corner.
Gonna chop, yeah, go deep and then chop. Oh, yeah.
And he just chopped right through. And, it was like, it was like, thank you very much. We'll see you later. We'll see you at the end of the race.
Yeah, nah.
What do you think of the whole track limits thing? And do you think that Norris deserved that 5-second penalty?
No, but I think Verstappen deserved one, and he didn't get it. And I also think I agree to that point about track limits. I agree that there should be track limit penalties. Okay, but I also agree that make it make the punishment, so that the stewards don't have to do it. Just like Danica said, just gravel, right? So they won't get that aggressive. They know that they'll beach the car, right? So, it's one and done. You don't have to figure out who's going to get penalized, who's not, what's the penalty going to be, is it fair, all this drama afterwards, right? Take a lot of pressure off of everybody. So, and then there's the issue of, just the decisions that some of the FIA stewards are making on it's the same penalty. Why are you penalizing some drivers and not others? Like, where's the bias? And isn't it supposed to be a fair sport? And isn't the rule, book pretty plain and clear? And then here's the rules, and then here's the penalty, and here are the parameters that you give those penalties with. Yeah. Why is the change?
Yeah,
that's my issue with it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're 100% right. It's got to be more consistent for sure.
Yeah. We see what happened to Lewis a few years ago.
Yes. Yeah. Speaking of Lewis,
that was on the next. That was the list. Yeah, go ahead. That was the car, though. He admitted they admitted that was the car.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, you don't go from being in the top 5 in every U.S. Grand Prix in Austin since the beginning of time to all of a sudden,
you just
ending up. Yeah.
No.
That just doesn't happen with him. So, yeah, it's just it's a little unfortunate. It would have been interesting to see how far up the order he got, and kudos to George. He binned it again, Wayne, in qualifying. Does this guy remind you of Cosmo Kramer from Seinfeld? Like, he's kind of goofy.
I know.
I don't know whether we're laughing at him or if we're laughing at him.
I know. Yeah, he's an interesting character, that's for sure.
Yeah.
He really is.
But kudos to him. He made it all the way up. He finished
sixth. Starting from the pit lane, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he beat Perez. Oops. There's that. Right?
Yeah.
So no, it's good. Yeah, I go back to Hamilton for a second. Yeah, apparently the car's just bouncing. Yeah, just bouncing around, and rumor has it that he was given some updates, and he actually offered those updates to George, and George turned them down, rightly so, right?
Yeah.
So the updates right before this race really hurt quite a bit.
Yeah, it's too bad because, obviously Hamilton's had a couple of great moments this year, and you kind of root for them, and well, obviously he's your guy, but it just seems that it's so inconsistent. But it's so inconsistent with all of the teams. Like, where did Ferrari come from? We all sort of thought that, okay, here we go with McLaren again, but it's a different team every week, and I don't think we've ever seen that in F1, have we?
Well, yeah, and it's fantastic, right? But apparently with Ferrari to that point, which is a good one, that they brought a bunch of updates. I believe it was either Monza or Singapore, right? But those tracks really didn't suit the updates that they added to the car. And now going forward, the remaining tracks are going to kind of figure out where they are, with these updates, and then they may have to do some adjustments in terms of balancing for numerous types of tracks. But apparently, this was the track that would really test the kind of updates that they. I don't know specifically what they did, but the kind of updates that they added to the car. And man, did did it ever? That worked,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And you don't know how much is down to the tires. Um, and I guess that's one thing that we were missing too. Is we used to have two tire manufacturers. We had Michelin and we had Bridgestone, and
Yeah, I missed that.
now we just have Pirelli.
Really, yeah.
Um, so there's not a lot of competition. There's zero competition, but then you wonder how are these teams adapting to these tire compounds, and the intel goes all the way down to like track temperature. What's the track temperature going to be? What's the oh, it's smooth this year, it's not bumpy like it was last year. There's so many different factors. It's
Hmm.
pretty crazy.
Hmm. Yeah, interesting. So you mentioned Yuki Tsunoda being quite the driver these days. He's really quite the showing. What do you think his future looks like?
uh, I, th-
Do you think he can make the move?
I think he should be there already. I do. I think he should be in Perez's seat. I think
Hmm.
even if you did a flip flop, even if you just said, okay, like we're gonna swap you guys out for a couple of races just to see how it goes. But again, contractually, there's something going on with Perez that we don't completely know, and I just don't think that's going to happen. I think Yuki's got to wait his turn if he does get the turn. I hope he does. He is a very consistent driver,
He's
especially
come a long way. Yeah, he's come a long way. I gotta say, when he first jumped in, he's always had the talent, but he was a little wild and a little too. Like he's still really hot headed in the car, but he has calmed down a little, right? Which is helping his temperament and his drive overall.
yeah,
But he's definitely consistent to your point for sure.
yeah. He's gone from a child to an adult in like less than 4 years. So
Hmm. Yeah, no doubt.
yeah.
Yeah. So overall, I mean, just to recap of the race, uh, besides all the penalties, I just think mid pack, a lot of great passes, great driving. Um, DRS. Uh, do you think DRS it gives drivers too much of an advantage sometimes? I know there's been some talk about that too. Is that is it too much of an assistance for cars that are fast in a straight line?
Uh, I don't know what kind of negates that is the they call it the DRS train where you've got three cars that are following each other, so
Hmm.
nobody has an advantage.
Right.
Um, we've seen that a lot where
Yeah,
you
I've seen
get
that too. Yeah,
yeah. I don't know. I kind of like it. I like it only
I,
because
I do too.
we went through so many years there was no passing. There
No
was like
passing. Yeah,
like
yeah.
the odd corner was a good passing corner at some of the tracks, but most of the time it was just the cars. Especially Monaco's still the same.
Hmm.
Um, there's a couple of tracks that you'll just never have passing, but I like it. I think it's good for the sport for sure.
And overall, what do you think about the sprint weekends? Too much?
Oh
Too busy?
no, I love it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Oh no, seriously, it's great. Think about all those times we went to the races on Friday and thought it was kind of a waste of time.
Hmm.
There were some days we'd go out on Friday and only half the teams would be out doing free practice. So yeah, no, I think it's great. I think it's good for the sport too. Um, people really get their money's worth. I mean,
Yeah, no doubt. And they're actual races, not just qualifying, right? It's you got an extra race, right? Which is nice, right?
yeah, yeah, totally. Do you think it's too much though, or do you
No,
think?
not at all. Not at all. Not at all. Verstappen does, even though he wins the sprint races. But it's kind of like it's talk about whining. Wow, 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 wow. I'm making millions of dollars, and I'm the number one driver of the world, and I don't want to do a sprint race. I know I'm gonna get hate from Verstappen fans, but come on, it's true.
It's kind of true. It's kind of true. Yeah. What I loved, Wayne, was the drivers. There was a couple of things. ESPN and even F1 had name the mascots, name the North American sports logos. Um, did you want
Oh
to
yeah,
see? Did you want to see the mascot one now, just quickly?
please go ahead. Yeah.
Fucking Humpty Dumpty.
This is Ohio State, so the Ohio State Humpty Dumpties.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you guys name your teams after?
The fuck is that?
Is that a bush?
The Christmas tree.
The ugly Christmas tree?
No. Ah, what's his minion?
I feel sorry for whoever's mascot this is.
Stanford Minions.
What the hell is that? It's like a Teletubby. Toronto Teletubbies. There's no one inside of there, right? That is a real animal.
That's a real animal.
I'm joking, just that's English humour. Ah,
Yes!
welcome.
So, horns up. Yeah!
Welcome.
Toronto Teletubbies. I
Toronto
love it.
Teletubbies. Yeah.
I love it. That could be our new sports team.
No. No. Let's not say we did something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, forget the Toronto Maple Leafs. It's the Toronto Teletubbies.
Teletubbies. I love it.
Yeah.
What else we got?
Oh, I've got the logos now. Actually, before we do that, I just want to. One of the our followers sent me this, and it's a something that they saw at the track. Actually, it's kind of cool.
Oh,
They
that's
had,
cool.
yeah, they had. You could send letters to Danny Rick for a farewell because we didn't get the farewell. So I'm not sure who set this up, but I think it was just the Austin Grand Prix people, organizers set it up. But I thought that was kind of cool. That's classy.
That is cool, yeah. Especially a guy like Danny Rick. I mean, you got to give him. He gave so much love back to the community and to the fans, and that he'll be missed in terms of just his overall personality and charisma and his talent, of course, as well too. But I'm sure he'll find himself in another, some other kind of formula, some other race category. Any word on what he's looking at, or is he just taking some time off?
I think he's just taking some time off, but he's charismatic enough that I'm sure the home broadcasters would want to take him to do
Yeah.
commentating or even pit reporting. It seems like Gunther Steiner's found his next career. He's all over the pits. He's all over the media.
No,
He's a bit of a media
no,
hoe.
I hope not. I hope not. I hope not. And to your point about Danny, yeah, eventually I think he will do that, and that's a good point. But I don't think he's there yet. I think he's still got a lot of racing in him. Oh, he could do both, maybe. Who knows, right? But Gunther Steiner, yeah, no, I don't know. I just
Yeah.
I don't like his broadcast. As two broadcasters ourselves, like I don't know. I don't think he's a great broadcaster.
Yeah. Can you see Danny going to IndyCar? Can you see
IndyCar,
that?
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
I mean, there was guys like Helio Castroneves,
Mm-hmm.
Dario Franchitti, all these guys, big personalities who did really, really well in IndyCar. So maybe
Montoya.
Montoya too. Yeah, yeah. That could be a good home for him. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll see. I'm sure he'll probably just take some time and then he'll miss it real quick, right?
Yeah,
He'll miss it.
yeah. for
He
sure.
will. Okay, so yeah, you had something else there.
Oh yeah. Okay, so so we saw the mascots, and actually some of those mascots, Wayne, that tree looking thing, I don't even know what
I
that
don't even
is.
know what that.
Very
Again, we're in
bizarre.
North America. We don't know what that is. So
Yeah, but so F1 had them name the logos of the North American sports teams. So here it is.
Super horse, superstar horse. Buffalo.
Gatorade.
JC Chiefs.
Easy.
I know this one. Brooklyn Green Brookreeds. Brookleeds.
Brooklyn Greens.
Yeah.
The Pirates, I guess.
Any location?
Location, America. I have no idea.
I'm guessing it's ice hockey. Sharks. Sharks?
Any place?
Can't be Austin Sharks, right?
Jacksonville Jaguars. Is that right or not?
That's not right.
Bond James. I think you should have said that instead. Gotta love him. Gotta love the George. Judge! What's happening, Judge?
No, seriously, he's Cosmo. He's Kramer. He is Kramer, this guy. I mean, unbelievable. So what they should do next year for the intros is get him to do, the arms up against the wall
Yeah,
thing
right.
that he did. Yeah.
You probably would.
Jacksonville Jaguars.
Probably would.
Oh,
So,
can you hear me?
yeah.
Okay, we're good. Yeah, so
All right.
so great race. Yeah, and what were your thoughts?
Yeah, just I thought that the drivers, great racing in terms of the aggressive nature, pushing it to the limits, and that whole track limit thing needs to be addressed. Ferrari updates, great job. We'll see how that pans out in terms of the other races going forward. This week is Mexico. Excited to see what's going on, right? With all the updates that are coming. I think that Mercedes will get their car straightened out with the upgrades going forward. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with McLaren. In the last few races and constructors. I think Verstappen's still gonna win the drivers' championship again this year. But looking forward to Mexico. What are you saying?
Yeah, for sure. It's so unpredictable. Wayne, I'm having a hard time with my F1 fantasy this year. I think I'm doing okay. I'm doing well, but last year or even the beginning of this year, it was kind of like Verstappen, or you had your two McLaren drivers in your five, like you choose five drivers and two constructors. It was pretty straightforward, and now it's all over the place. I'm changing drivers like every week, and
That's it. That's the way it should be, right?
yeah.
Keep them guessing, right? Makes for an exciting season. So that's pretty dope.
Yeah, and we'll see in Mexico what I don't even want to try and predict it. It's like
Yeah, exactly.
who knows,
Exactly.
but it'll be an exciting race, and hopefully Perez will wake up and we'll see him back on the podium again, because that was kind of cool when he was up there a couple of years ago. So
Or we'll see if he gets announced that he's going to be no longer with the team the rest of this year or next year after. Because apparently, the rumor has it that after Mexico, something might be announced
yes,
after the Mexican Grand Prix. So we'll see.
yes. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. All right, we'll call it an episode, and we'll catch up with you. Like and subscribe if you like.
Yeah, and I guess we'll catch up with you in the next few days because the race is coming up this weekend. So
Yeah, exactly. All right.
okay,
William.
yeah. Follow us on Instagram too. We're on Instagram
That
at
too.
F1 Shakedown. Yeah. All right.
Have a
We
good
will
week.
see
Have a
you.
good night. Day. We'll see you soon.
In a couple of days, yeah.